everybody, this is Jonathan Miller with Hometown Historian Channel. We are here today with the Wandering Woodsman, who can turn around and wave if he feels like being seen on camera. We're actually here in Swatara State Park. Cliff had just done a video. He's done several videos here at Swatara State Park, one on which I was like really saying it was awesome, where he found when they did the Swatara State Park here, they had used eminent domain to take all these properties, and there was a number of villages along here, and he had just found, he kept on seeing these flat areas where houses would be, and it was this old road that went off of old Route 443, and he actually had found the old town of Murray, which was like a 10 to 15 house village community that was there. They had their own railroad station for the Reading Railroad. That was the Tremont branch from Lebanon. And we're here in an area where I believe it would be the village of Sand Siding, and it was called, the village itself would have been called Sand, and they added the word siding on because when the railroad would have a sort of an arm that would go off, because both at the Sand Siding area and then the Trout Run siding, they were running operations on the Swatara to do coal dredging on the Swatara Creek. So that was why they called it Sand Siding and then Trout Run siding at the Greenpoint Strait Station. But here at this parking lot, which is it's right across almost from Twin Grove Park, there used to be an old white house there that became like, I don't know if it was DCNR, but it was the park office. And this is right in this area where Cliff did the video, where he found like there's almost like a dumping ground, all kinds of stuff. So we're going to check that out because there's an old truck. Brain's not working. There's like a truck body. It was not the body, but it's a chassis. I don't know why I can't think of that for a second, but it was a chassis, and a lot of it had wooden spokes on the wheel, so it was most likely like a teens 20s truck. So we're going to take a peek at that and some of the other stuff. But that park office might have been the Mountain View Hotel, because the original Mountain View Hotel, which was I believe built in like the 1850s, that burnt down I think in like 1958, and then they built a much smaller structure. So I don't know if that was it or if it was just somebody's home, but this is the general region of where Sand Siding, that village, would have been, because they had a railroad station that the park employees from Twin Grove Park would go and get the people that were coming to the park and then bring them by. So with that, we're going to go marching down the trail, and we're going to show you some of this cool stuff. Thanks everybody. A little bit of view of Cliff here marching down the trail. It's cool because it's like these areas and a pretty little creek that's running down through here. It's like so much life happened here, and you know, sadly with these issues of eminent domain, and when they have things like that, it all gets taken away, and it's just people's memories, people's lives, their livelihoods, because there were businesses here, you know, vibrant communities that had been here for probably a century. And then in just in a couple of years is all gone. Now nature sort of, as nature does, nature takes back what was once its own territory. Hey, so we're out here, like there's a man-made pond out here actually. And you can see this as we just come out of the trail here. This is one of those things that Cliff found. I believe you said there's fish in here, right? You saw sunfish. Oh really? This might be bass in here as well. Good fishing location. You can hear the froggies. Sorry about that. Trying to climb over a log, and they have a, is that like a duck blind? Yeah.
Even right down there you can see some.
Yeah, you can see some fish down in there. You can see like the shadow in the water. Like in the camera, you're not going to be able to see it, but... And it has its own smell.
Yeah.
It's got that spawn smell to it. But it's a pretty little pond out here in the middle of nowhere. My friends and always joke, like wherever I go, there's like catbirds. So I got some haunted spirit that follows me around. Doesn't like me, and all you hear is... Meow. Almost looks like they had like an old fence that used to be along here with the metal rails.
Like a guardrail.
Yeah, like a guardrail. There you heard the frog again. Always love hearing that. We had the Didn't they have like yellow throats or something like that?
Yeah.
So like we used to have like these big old frogs in the pond out at Greenpoint at the cabin. I used to love catching them. They were really, really hard to catch, but I used to love doing that. So cool. Brings back good memories. Yeah, so this is like the rail thing here. So there's probably, assume there was a road along here at some point. These would have been one of these things like the 50s type railing system. There's Cliff. He's going to go dive into the murky water, which I'm sure it's clean. This is a place I'd love to go fishing. There, a froggy or something just hopped in. All of a sudden, he's like that Anaconda movie. It just comes flying out, grabs a hold of Cliff, and pulls him down under the water. Like, well, time for me to leave. Wandering Woodsman channel just ended.
I don't know.
You never know. It might be a friendly snake. It might almost be like one of those. What was that? The creature in the Black Lagoon.
Might go for you first.
It might be like, that's a handsome man. It's like a lady Black Lagoon creature, and it's like,
I think I'll pass.
I'm gonna take him down under the water, and we're gonna make some
Anything like the
secret lagoon creature babies.
Yeah.
Imagine it would be like that's where the Sasquatches are gonna come from, right there. Just so serene and pretty out here. All the sounds of nature. We do have some traffic in the background you can hear from 81, but overall, it's a beautiful place to come. I never knew this was here until Cliff did the video. So here we are in that dumping ground that Cliff found, whether it's a old PennDOT dumping ground or if it was just a dumping ground for the park. And they just took anything here that wasn't original trails or whatever it was and then just dumped in here. Who knows, but a lot of piping. You can see some of the big pipes up there. Huge pile of stone there, another pipe. Cement. Some pretty flowers. I guess they're like daisies. There, it looks almost like an old jack. I think that is. It's like an old jack there. Oh no, that's an old plow. That's the plow that Cliff found right there. It is a lot more grown up since Cliff was out here. That's just, was it like a couple weeks ago when you were out here? A month ago, so. We're getting a lot of rain out here in Pennsylvania, so it's not surprising that this just goes nuts. So we'll see if we can find that old chassis of the.
Like it's a month. It's like.
Yeah, it's like
one thing I was a little worried about.
it looks so much different here than from the video, but this is where that large walnut tree is, and this is like we were both talking about, and he had mentioned in the video as well that this is most likely when you see big trees like this, there's a good chance that there was a habitation here. And it had to be open for them to get this big, and that's usually means that there was a home or a habitation of some sort here. So we're gonna go over. If you've watched that video, I'll put a link up on the video for Cliff's video, so you can get a look at the difference between. Sorry about sort of all over the place. I got attacked by a tree there. Didn't want to let go of me. Apparently liked me quite a bit. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah. It's the bad thing about.
I found it then.
Oh, you did? Okay, cool. I just gotta. This tree apparently likes me. Didn't even buy me breakfast or flowers. Yeah, because this is just in the last month. This has gone insane. It's the bad thing about this area. Like if you go in to explore, you got to do it in the fall once all the undergrowth has died, or winter's a good time, or early spring before all this starts growing. Here it is. Here's the chassis, and you can see some remnants of tire here, but you can see the old wooden spokes, and that would have been a vehicle from back in like the teens and 20s, most likely a model A or T or whatever they're called. for Ford, but it's upside down because as you can see right there, that's where the transmission would have been sitting, so that would have been down on the bottom. But this is a truck, because you can see like the springs here, or they're not the springs, they're, I'm trying to think what those are called. I guess the leaf springs, or, but those, and then there's for like the transmission. And this would have been the rear of the vehicle, that would have been the front. But with that amount for the leaf springs, it would have had to be a pretty heavy duty vehicle. So this was a farm truck of some sort, because of the length. I'm hoping you guys can see this reasonably well, but yeah, because Cliff wasn't sure what it was at first, because sometimes, today we live in a very much a throwaway society. Back then, you reused whatever you could. These are the people that went through the Great Depression, that type of stuff. So this is most likely here. This is not a piece of trash that PennDOT would have put here. That's why another reason to think that this was a homestead or a farm. There's like the farmhouse here, because a lot of this area, sand siding and those areas, a lot of Greenpoint areas that got destroyed were all farmland. So there was, interspersed. You'd have a house here, a house there, and it'd be a farm with quite a bit of acreage. But yeah, this was probably a farm truck for them back in the teens through the 30s or 40s. And then eventually they just put the chassis here upside down, and here it sits. It's a piece of Americana right there. Can't see it as well. Like when Cliff came out here before, you could clearly see it. Yeah. Lots of gnats out here too. Very enjoyable, or flies. You can see some of the big trees here. Hear the birds, pretty area.
You see some remnants of tires. You can see how thin these tires are too.
Here you can actually see we did a lot of clearing away, mainly Cliff cleared away. But you can see it a lot better. The front still has all that sort of there, but there's where the transmission would have sat. And there you can see this cool thing.
Here, because this is actually the top side.
You can actually see the wood spokes there. It would have been part of the wheel. Pretty neat.
I wonder if there's a name like on the underside there.
It's a good chance it would have been a Ford, because
That's what everybody was saying.
Because Ford was the cheapest out there. I mean, the normal everyday person could actually afford a Ford. Didn't even try to do that, but yeah. So this is a cool find. This is the Wandering Woodsman once again. He finds some of the coolest stuff out in the middle of nowhere. One thing I just realized here that we need to take a moment of silence for. This here is Chuck and Naomi's forebear. And if not for, we'll call him Frank. If not for Frank, Chuck and Naomi would not exist. Thank you, Frank, for your sacrifice. So we just decided instead, this is Matthias, the great-great-grandfather of Chuck and Naomi. Even though neither one of them is a Ford, if this is indeed Matthias is a Ford, they are American-made vehicles, but there's a lot of cool seeing different pieces here where different things would have fit into the other things, like where the transmission is. You can see here at the end of the differential where the bar would have connected there to turn everything, to turn those rear wheels. So pretty cool. Hey everybody, so once again I just want to say thanks for coming along. I want to say thanks to Cliff Wandering Woodsman for taking us out here. We think that was a Model T. If you know what certain things are about it or what it was exactly, just put it down in the comments and let Cliff and I know what it is. And once again I want to say thanks to Cliff for bringing us out here, being gracious enough to do that. And as always, I want to say thank you, and we will see you all about town.